We got the emails and text messages showing proof of exactly what Justin Baldoni's team had been doing to Blake Lively for the last year. Now, this is part 2. I've already gone through a bunch of the dockets with you. If you missed it, go check out my previous video, but let's get right back into it. Before I get into this though, I'm seeing a lot of comments saying, this is just PR, this is regular PR. No, it's not. Now, a regular PR agency does a lot of things, but the main job is that they boost up their client. It's basically taking their client, making sure all the stuff that's out on social media is positive towards them, but it's not tearing someone else down. It's also not astroturfing, which is what we're seeing now. Now, astroturfing in public relations is a deceptive practice where an individual or an organization creates a false impression of widespread grassroots support for a particular cause, product, or person. Now, this is where we get the word organic. This is what Team Baldoni has been using this whole time. The hate against Blake Lively was organic. It wasn't. It was astroturfing. Astroturfing is extremely frowned upon in the world of PR. We've already seen that Stephanie Jones didn't want to work with Melissa Nathan at TAG because she didn't have the same moral standards or ethics as Stephanie Jones says she has. Now, a lot of companies will not do astroturfing because if you get caught doing this, it makes your business look shady and untrustworthy. Essentially, it's about creating a fake grassroots movement to influence public opinion. So as an example, planting stories that Blake Lively is a bitch and difficult to work with on set. We know this was not true. There has been rumors about this that have been cleared up over the year, but this is one of the stories that was seeded and people ran with it. We already know from this letter that was just released the other day that this is exactly what TAG and Jed Wallace had been up to. The bullet point here reads, leverage relationships with Discord, Reddit, X, IG, TikTok, YouTube, etc. to expose behavior of Blake and other parties, both current and past, and engage directly with communities to adjust or influence the conversations taking place in real time. They are not talking to these communities as Melissa Nathan or Jed Wallace. They are using these accounts that have been created that look like ordinary, regular accounts. Taking down full Reddit and all social accounts as needed. So they were taking down anything that didn't fit their narrative and then organically engaging with audiences in the right way, starting threads with theories the team approves of and asking questions that no longer place Wayfair and Justin on the back foot. And the very last one, changing the overall narrative and helping keep it on track. That is not normal PR. That is astroturfing, the practice of publishing opinions or comments on the internet, in the media, etc., that appear to come from ordinary members of the public, but actually come from a particular company or political group, as a way to make it seem like a product or opinion is very popular or has a lot of public support. Now that we know the difference between what PR is supposed to do and what they're not supposed to do, astroturfing, let's get into it. So the last thing we talked about was that Justin Baldoni's lawyer, Brian Friedman, started a whole Signal chat with one of his clients to help go after Blake Lively in his client's comments, which they did on YouTube. Just a reminder, that person was Sage Steele. That's who is named in this document as creating all these videos after talking on the phone for 2 hours with Justin and Jamie. Exhibit 28 has a bunch of people from TAG as well as Jennifer Abel in here chatting about PR, articles, things like that. Jennifer Abel does say that they're pushing out some good press and they share an article that they obviously sent out that has Justin Baldoni talking nicely about Blake. This was all taking place on August 9th, so there was still talk about Justin Baldoni and Blake having conflict on set. There was things coming out saying Blake was uncomfortable, so there was some negative press still kind of surfacing at this point. So Jennifer Abel writes the group and says, team, just an FYI, we are pulling press for tomorrow. Not worth it with these local producers gunning for a comment. And she says, let's keep an eye out for the chatter. And they say, well, what's the language you're using to pull? So Melissa Nathan wants to know, what do we tell people? And Jennifer Abel says, he's exhausted. We wrapped the screening at midnight and he has been going for a full week of junket and we will get them next time we're in the market. And they say, okay, perfect, let's connect later. The last page is where it turns from normal PR to not so normal anymore. So they start sharing some negative articles about Ryan Reynolds that have been in the press. And one of them quotes saying, great headline, as baffled screenwriter reacts, And they say, working in our favor should we need it. And then it goes on to quote another line saying, meanwhile, the film's screenwriter, Christy Hall, appeared baffled by the claim and shared she wasn't aware Reynolds contributed to the dialogue. So they're talking about the roof scene in this. Then we've got an email chain that confirms Jed Wallace was hired for exactly what the scenario planning documents said. So this is the email, and this was sent on August 8th. And this says, hi, Jamie, please meet Jed, who will be having his team, not just Jed Wallace, he does have a team despite him saying otherwise, assist on all social activity based off our own conversations, as well as their digital plan you are in receipt of. And then it goes on to talk a little bit about money, saying he's aware we're going to go with the second option, which is $30,000, and they're going to book him for 3 months. Jed and team has worked on some of the most monumental BTS projects globally, and I'm extremely happy to make his intro between you both. Katie then replies to this and adds and says, to quickly follow up, as I know we want to work as fast as possible, I've attached an invoice from Street Relations as discussed. Jed then responds and says, Jamie, an absolute pleasure. While the circumstances are the circumstances, this is our wheelhouse and have it prioritized across all platform-specific specialists working for me. Exhibit 30 is just a lot of chatter between TAG employees talking about introducing people. There's apparently a new person that's been hired that they're introducing, but then it goes into this and says, Riley, who's apparently the new person, can you monitor for any mention of the Justin Baldoni It Ends With Us drama, please? We figured there'd be a resurgence towards the end of the year. And they attach this. This says Feud of the Year. And this is basically just an article that came out talking about Blake and Justin having a feud of the year. This is the end of the year. If you look at the date, it is December 2nd. Blake has not come out yet with her complaint, and at this point thinks it's started to die down. Exhibit 31 is an email between Justin Baldoni and Steve Sarowitz, who's the money behind Wayfair, and they're basically making fun of Blake Lively. Steve, it looks like, created this email. He titled it A Positive Note About Blake Lively, and then he just attaches this quote from Blake saying that she doesn't drink, and he's saying at least there's one positive thing about Blake. And Justin responds saying, we should always find the positives, and Steve responds and says, exactly. Abdullah Baha says, if we find 999 negative things about a person, we should focus on the one positive thing. So insinuating there's nothing good about Blake Lively except that she doesn't drink. Exhibit 32 is just a letter from People Magazine asking for comments, so I just skipped that one. This one is Exhibit 35. This one is extremely interesting for a couple of reasons. Take a look in the subject field at all of these random people. Exhibit 35 is extremely interesting. We have a new text chain, and this appears to be some sort of prayer group with Justin Baldoni's Baha religion, spirituality thing that he follows, along with Jamie Heath and a number of other people. But I think there's a name up here you might recognize. We, of course, have Jamie Heath. We have Justin Baldoni. But do you recognize the name up there? Rainn Wilson. Come on, Dwight. Seriously? We have Dwight entering the conversation. Now, this is bad, and I don't think people realize quite how bad this is. This is a text chain with Justin Baldoni sending out a message about his HR issues with Blake Lively on his work site to a bunch of random dudes in his prayer club. Hey all, Happy New Year. Flying back to New Jersey Friday. I haven't seen Blake in person since this safety letter accusation. Feeling all sorts of things. She used the claim and letter to gain power over the whole production, trying to find my balance of captaining a ship and leading it while it's being held hostage. How to give her most of what she wants while maintaining some of my own vision. And starting Friday, acting and working with this person who can and will use anything she can against me. It's all scary, yet I know I have protection. Starting this thread again, as I will need the emotional, spiritual support. Love you all. And then we have all the dudes responding, including Dwight. He writes at the top saying, such a challenging issue, so difficult. I can't even imagine. Sending prayers, buddy. Just keep your focus on the service you are providing and telling of this very important story. He told them exactly what was going on just before meeting with Blake. We need a part 3. Hit follow.